Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our now popular Tuesday evening. I'm very pleased to see that this group is starting to show a lot more interest from other than just the usual people around here. Quite pleased to see that, and I hope people are sharing this information as well, because I really don't want to be able to just keep it to myself and ourselves. So I'm going to share my screen and we will get rolling with our PowerPoint. Okay, I'm trusting everybody can see my screen. Okay, so we've been talking about male and female issues, and we're obviously still taking our information from the book by Jim McAfee, who is a clinical nutritionist, called Your Body's Sign Language. So as we go into the next part, we're talking about frequent urination. Now, I've put up a men's sign over here, but it doesn't just have to be men. It can be ladies as well. And the frequent urination is just, it's a sign of something. And it's indicated by the signs of the need to urinate frequently. And when you get there, there's a decreased urine flow and the need to awake in the night to take a jog down the passage. This generally is more common with men than with ladies. You'll see why shortly, because these signs are often indicators of an enlarged prostate, otherwise known as benign prostatic hypertrophy. Horrible, great big word, but benign just means non-cancerous, just by the way. Or it could also mean that there is cancer in the prostate. And I think the current stats are, if they check any man over, I think it's 70, there's an almost 99% probability of finding signs of prostate cancer. It's a very slow growing cancer, so don't stress too much. Elevated estrogen levels or exposure to chemicals with estrogenic effects may be causative factors. More big words, but don't stress about all the big fancy terminology, but be aware of where you're going to be exposed to estrogen. And it's from some quite scary places. Things like plastic, things like laundry detergents. There's a lot of these estrogenic chemicals in our environment today. An inadequate exposure to sunlight or vitamin D deficiency increases the likelihood of developing prostate cancer. Once again, we see the power and the potency of vitamin D. So if you're not out on the golf course all day, every day, at least get outside and take a walk around the block, because you want to get as much exposure to vitamin D as possible. And if you're not getting it from sunlight, please make sure you're getting it from your diet. The majority of men in the USA over 50 years of age will develop benign prostatic hypertrophy at some stage. So it doesn't mean, ding, you're at 50, now you've got problems. It means that from the age of 50 onwards, you need to be significantly more aware of what is happening. By the time the urine stream starts to slow, the problem is often quite advanced, yet it is often the first indication of prostate swelling. A lot of these medical issues, unfortunately, are silent. We've all heard of the silent killer called heart failure. There are other things that can also be silent in that there's no dramatic swelling, there's no dramatic outbreak on your skin or anything that's going to be a sort of in your face type sign. It's a little silent sign that grows with time and then all of a sudden whacks you. So be aware of the signs before they become a problem. Now, a physician should be consulted as this symptom. So a physician could be your GP or your medical physician who is a specialist GP, for want of any better terminology, or probably more importantly, your urologist should be consulted, as this symptom could be either benign prostatic hypertrophy or prostate cancer. If it is the cancer part, you want to get it treated as fast as possible. If it's benign, also needs treatment, but it's not going to kill you, it's just going to make you very uncomfortable. The prevailing opinion amongst physicians is that testosterone is responsible for prostatic hypertrophy. And these are just some basic sketches about what and where your prostate sits and how it operates. On the left is the normal, on the right is the enlarged or swollen. And as soon as things in tight spaces become enlarged or swollen, they put pressure on other things. And that's what happens with the bladder, because that is where the prostate is sitting, and that's where the issues come about. Physicians who have worked with natural testosterone report satisfactory results with this approach. So they can treat you by giving you extra testosterone, as long as it is a natural source and not a synthetic source, the results can be pretty good. Estrogen, which normally rises with age in men, may be a culprit. So as we have found with research, males and females both have estrogen and testosterone. It's just in ladies, the estrogen is dominant and the testosterone isn't, and men opposite way around. Now, what happens is with age is your testosterone levels decrease and estrogen levels increase. And that's where the problem comes about, because nature likes balance. Weight gain tends to increase estrogen levels in both men and women. So those who are starting to develop a spare tire around the middle, be careful, because that could mean that your estrogen levels are increasing. Get it checked. One of the ways to be tested for prostate these days, a lot more comfortable, a lot less traumatic, is with a simple blood test called a PSA test. The epidemic of weight gain in the USA has been paralleled by increases in prostate cancer and breast cancer in women. Not just diabetes, although diabetes is obviously a big problem, weight gain can also cause these other issues with cancer. A wide range of nutrients are known to promote prostate health, and these include your essential fatty acids, zinc, carotenoids, vitamin E, vitamin D, and selenium. And these are some of the foods you will find your carotenoids in that are good for the prostate. And the carotenoid specifically for prostates is lycopene. You'll find it in things like soy, vitamin D, lycopene, salmon, pumpkin seeds, avocado, walnuts, broccoli, green tea, kidney beans, etc. Supplementation with essential fatty acids and zinc has a long history of safe and effective use in treating swollen prostate glands. Your essential fatty acids are things like your omega-3s or your salmon oils, and zinc you'll often find in things like pumpkin seeds, amongst other things. And if you are taking a zinc supplement, please be aware that your supplement should be chelated, meaning that it is bonded with an amino acid, because zinc is a mineral. Minerals, by nature, are comparatively difficult to be absorbed in the body. By linking them with amino acids, which our bodies do recognize and absorb easily, you will find that your zinc supplement is absorbed significantly better if it is chelated. In fact, not just zinc, but any mineral will be absorbed better if it is chelated than if it's not chelated. So for those who are watching this and who don't know our products already, please check and see what the supplements are that you're taking, and are they done correctly? In other words, are your zinc supplements chelated? The carotenoid, lycopene, is a prostate superhero. Some studies have shown that lycopene may actually help the body fight prostate cancer after it has developed, as well as preventing it. And I think we've probably all seen and heard stories of people. The one that comes to mind specifically was a gentleman in Bloemfontein, I think the last time that we were all together in Bloemfontein, who went to his doctor, was diagnosed with prostate cancer. The doctor wrote out a prescription for a whole lot of drugs. And this gentleman said to him, "No, thank you, I will treat it naturally." Crumpled up the script, chucked it in the bin. And the doctor looked at him, glared at him, and told him that he was being a complete and total idiot. And the doctor was basically washing his hands of him and saying, "I will not be responsible for your health issues from here onwards. I have diagnosed you with prostate cancer. And if you don't take these medications, you will die in the next 3 to 6 months." And this gentleman looked at him and he said, "You keep your drugs. I will see you in 6 months. We will test my PSA levels again," which he did, and they were perfectly normal. The doctor was quite surprised, to put it mildly. Lycopene is found in red foods, and these include your tomatoes, your pink grapefruit, and watermelon. So there's some sources of carotenoids, and there's a whole mess of carotenoids. There's not just beta-carotene, which obviously is a carotenoid, but there's alpha-beta and a whole lot of others. Pardon me for that. So there's some big words, and we won't get into them, but things like lutein, zeaxanthin, beta-cryptoxanthin, lycopene, etc. Don't worry about what the different names are of the carotenoids. Just be aware that your colored fruits and veggies are the ones that contain these things. They are fat-soluble antioxidants and are really, really good for the body. And if you are not able to get it from your diet, please get it from a supplement. Jim McAfee encourages the use of supplementation with a broad spectrum of carotenoids as found in food. So obviously diet is always key and number one, but if for whatever reason, be it season, be it geography, be it allergies or intolerances, if you're not able to get the carotenoids from food, please supplement it. Different carotenoids have been shown to provide different kinds of protection to various parts of the body. That is why a good supplement is a carotenoid complex, like with every other thing that we've spoken about, like vitamin E and vitamin B. They are complexes because we don't know exactly what our body needs and how much of that particular carotenoid our body needs at any given time. So if your supplement is a complex, your body can utilize what it needs when it needs it. Where's my mouse? A high intake of a single carotenoid, such as lycopene, may depress levels of another member of the carotenoid family of nutrients, which provides a totally different kind of protection in a different part of the body. So once again, we see that nature works in synergy. So it doesn't just want lycopene, it also wants alpha-carotene and beta-carotene and zeaxanthin and lutein. They all work together as a team. If you think about an army, for instance, you don't have a single guy going into war. He takes a team, he takes a platoon with him to fight. And probably the ones that we know quite well are the SEALs or the Marines. They will go in a team. Each one works with the other one. And we've seen the power of team. As we know, team stands for together, each achieves more. So your carotenoids do exactly the same thing. And in fact, your nutrition in general does the same thing. It needs to work together because everybody has its own strength. a high intake of a single carotenoid, oops, that was a duplication over there, not quite sure why. Fish consumption reduces the risk of prostate cancer. Now, be careful of the fish that you are eating, because if you catch fish off a river near an industrial port, or for instance, if you're catching fish off the harbor in Cape Town, don't eat it, because it's probably going to cause cancer more than cure cancer, because of the fact that harbors and river mouths are so full of toxins these days, which the fish live in and obviously inhale and consume. Be careful about the kind of fish that you're eating. We're needing the oily fishes, but be careful that it's not in an area that's quite polluted, because you will be getting that pollution through your food. A Swedish study found that men who ate 4 servings of fish a week cut their risk of prostate cancer in half, and they were only 1/3 as likely to die of prostate cancer as men who did not eat fish. And in Sweden, obviously, they get a much better quality of fish because it's much colder waters, which means you've got a very much higher rate of omega-3 in that fish. A number of sulfur-containing vegetables, including garlic, onion, and broccoli, reduce the risk of prostate cancer as well. These foods tend to increase glutathione, which is a major antioxidant, and thereby support what is called phase 2 detoxification. And these are an example of some foods that are high in sulfur. That includes your meat and fish, your broccoli, cauliflower, etc., your dairy products, teas, cheese, eggs, nuts, etc. The body has a twofold process of ridding itself of toxic substances such as pesticides. First, they are made more soluble, meaning liquefied, which is called phase 1. Unfortunately, this often makes them more toxic. So sometimes things have to get worse before they can get better. It is crucial to eliminate these substances as rapidly as possible once they have undergone phase 1 detox. And this is accomplished by phase 2. For those of you who know our detox program, are you seeing the correlation between the products that are there and how the detox works? Go and have a look at your detox pack, and you'll get a pretty good idea of why and how the SABC or SAB has put together the program as they have. So the body often rids itself of these unwanted substances by combining them with sulfur compounds and then excreting them. Just like extra bile and fats is bound together, and even sugars for that matter, are bound together with fiber and then processed out of the system. These substances are combined with sulfur and then processed out of the system. Sulfur-containing foods support this important function by providing the body with the sulfur it requires for detoxification. The trace mineral selenium works along with sulfur compounds to support phase 2 detox and plays an important role as an antioxidant. One study showed selenium reduced prostate cancer by 63%. That is quite significant for one single nutrient. Cruciferous vegetables play a very special role in prevention of prostate cancer and other prostate problems, and also works well for breast cancers, because your prostate tissue and breast tissue is very similar. One study showed that consuming as few as 3 servings of cruciferous vegetables per week reduced prostate cancer risk by 41%. Our food is powerful. Phytosterols is another big fancy word that we hear being thrown around a little bit. Studies suggest that men with the lowest levels of testosterone are at the greatest risk for developing prostate cancer and prostatic hypertrophy. Maintaining a healthy weight keeps testosterone elevated and estrogen low in men. Now, we're not talking about going to the gym and pumping heavy iron over there, but at least try and keep fit and keep active in some small way to keep your weight down. Exposure to sunlight also increases testosterone in men in a very natural and safe way. And this may be an important preventative against reduced testosterone levels as we age. Good excuse to get out on the golf course or the tennis court. The elderly are known to obtain less sunlight exposure than younger people because elderly people tend to, especially now during this virus story, you get told to stay at home and stay safe, but they take it too literally and stay inside, away from the sun. Sunlight is a powerful medicine when it comes to prevention of prostate and breast cancer because sunlight helps your body to synthesize its own vitamin D. Considerable research supports the use of plant sterols to improve symptoms of benign prostatic hypertrophy. Plant sterols appear to function by blunting the effects of cholesterol, which contributes to hypertrophy and speeds the growth of hormone-linked cancers. Phytosterols are quite protective against prostatic hypertrophy and may prove to be one of the best long-term preventatives for prostate problems. Cholesterol actually increased the rate of growth of prostate cancer cells, while plant sterols reduced the growth considerably, up to 70%. Again, the power of pure nutrition. Legumes, including peanuts and soy, are excellent sources of phytosterols with anti-cancer properties. The soybean appears to have several anti-cancer compounds present, including protease inhibitors, phytic acid, isoflavones, saponins, genistein, and phytosterols. The common concept is that soy is bad for you because it causes cancer. But it's not the soy that causes the cancer, it's how the soy is grown, in other words, genetically modified, and how the soy is processed. That is what causes the cancer. Because the Japanese are probably the highest consumers of soy in the world. And in the traditional Japanese language, there is no word for breast cancer because it does not exist. So therefore, how can we claim that soy causes cancer when that is one of the main sources of protein and phytosterols that the Japanese are eating? These compounds appear to be particularly effective in reducing the risk of colon, breast, and prostate cancers. We need these foods in our diet because cancer is becoming rife. And my wife works for hospice. We see these sort of things on a very regular basis. Sadly, I also see these sort of cases in hospital as well. And I often am saddened when I see cases like this because I know it is diet related and it could have been prevented or at very least slowed down. Body cells have a double or bilayer wall or membrane around them, which is comprised of whatever fats are available from the diet. Remember that little picture that is so famous in the near-life world with the two cells? Now, this is where it comes in. This is how you can see where that whole lot ties together. Proper control and function of hormone chemistry is dependent to a large extent upon an adequate supply of essential lipids or fats, particularly those available from grains and legumes. Starting to sound familiar? Sex hormones, including testosterone, enable the body to build bone and muscle. Research from as far back as 1959 has shown that lipids play a key role in the normal function of these sex hormones. Let's see, my time is running out. More recent research has shown that hormones cannot function normally if quality lipids are missing from the double-layered cell wall. These stories starting to sound familiar to you? Deficiency of quality fats and excessive consumption of junk fats may contribute to prostate cancer or speed its growth by interfering with normal sex hormone function. Suggestions: we need to consume carotenoids in foods, and if you're not getting it in food, please supplement. Don't just go for a single beta-carotene or alpha-carotene or lycopene. You go to the health shops and supermarkets, etc., you will often find these carotenoids that are single or isolates. Stay away from them. You want the complex version. And we all know the most famous one in our particular field, which is the carotenoid complex, that has got, I think it's between 400 to 600 different carotenoids in this little package that has been independently tested and verified by the US Department of Agriculture to boost your immune system by 37% in just 20 days with only 3 capsules. I think it's worth it. We need to consume quality oils, including phytosterols and fish oils, while avoiding excess cholesterol. Best known quality oil that we have is our salmon oil. And we need to engage in reasonable sunbathing or assure adequate vitamin D intake from cod liver oil or other sources. We have vitamin A and D, and we now have our new vegan D for people who are following a vegan or vegetarian diet. So no matter what, there is no excuse now for them to get sufficient vitamin D in their system. And we need to eat cruciferous and allium vegetables, or again, if you are not getting sufficient quantities in your diet, we need to supplement with these compounds daily. And in my opinion, this is vital for anybody from 50 years, or specifically men from 50 years of age onwards, because at that stage, your risk starts to skyrocket. And there we have one of the most complex cruciferous compounds that I'm aware of, because again, Neolife does not just put in a single thing, it puts in a complex. So we have all of the cruciferous veggies in this little capsule, and you take one of them daily. That should give you sufficient for your daily intake of cruciferous veggies. And we also need to use a basic multiple, in other words, multivitamin or mineral, or should I say, and mineral, that includes zinc. And the best one that I'm aware of is our Formula 4, which contains your vitamins, your minerals, your lipids, and your sterols from plant sources. And that is where I'm going to end it this week, because I have only 5 minutes left. Stop sharing. Does anybody have any questions or stories relating to this? No questions?
Well, I know for a fact vitamin D definitely does help if you have the tendency to need to run to the toilet every 5 minutes. Now I'm talking from a personal.
Okay, good to know.
Vitamin what?
D.
Vitamin what? D. Oh,
Vitamin
okay.
D.
Yeah.
Ah, good to know. Yeah.
Okay, right. I'm going to pause recording.